how do I get out there? Like, is it a good idea to, you were speaking that you had worked with a consulting company first. Is that a great first step? And that is actually kind of my first question is, your advice of like how you get like clients or introduce yourself to existing companies. Because it's not, I mean, like sometimes they advertise, but it seems that's not, it seems like it's a more organic experience to get into the consulting from what I can see.
Yeah.
So just any advice around that would be appreciated.
Sure. The main thing that I would look at doing is either, so there's three different types of consulting
Mm-hmm.
that you want to look at is where you work for a company and then you work for you're an independent contractor, then you can have your own business. I think we kind of discussed that already. I would say the easiest path to get in is to work for a company,
Right.
because you get benefits, you get guaranteed work. So let's say you work for a regional education office or whatever they're called in your particular state. The one thing that when you work for them, you're naturally going to be able to train.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going to naturally get the experience of doing professional development, and you got a salary coming. And so you now have stability, but you also are able to make mistakes. Like for me, I have to be perfect in every training. Like I am not able to have an off day when it comes to training, because the stakes are too high every time I do a training. Where if you work in that situation, I'm not going to say you should have an off day, but it's okay to have an off day
Mm-hmm.
because you're paid no matter what. People may snicker about you and not want to come, but they still are forced to come. So it doesn't really matter. Where when you are stepping out on your own, if you give somebody a bad experience or they don't have the best experience, then they will best case scenario they don't bring you back. Worst case scenario they badmouth you to other people, and that could damage your business
Right.
and all those things. And so you have to deliver every single time. And I think if you don't have the experience and background that has positioned you to do that, I think that that'll be a struggle, because the thing about it is, like, I have a background in professional development. Like that is something that I am. I've been told I'm a good trainer at this point. I'm a good presenter, but that is not something that happened overnight. Like that is something that I started doing PDs, not in like a large number. My first one was when I was a classroom teacher, my last year in the classroom. I did a technology professional development. My principal reached out and wanted me to do it for one of our, district day or campus district days. So that was my first time doing one. Then when I became a math specialist, I actually didn't do PD then as much, but what I did was I would bring in consultants and I was able to work with them and pick their brain and do different things like that. And then my next job after a math specialist was a district curriculum specialist. Well, that job was literally only doing PD. Like it was writing curriculum, it was actually some cases going and working, but the primary thing I did on a day-to-day basis was PD. So when we had our district-wide days for 53 campuses, I worked with 40 of them. I would literally have to like go and do a PD for people that didn't want to be there. Like they were forced to be there. I knew that already. And the topic I'm doing it on is special education. So they don't even really definitely don't want to be there because people don't take that serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, and I'm very passionate about. So the same way that I train about the restorative practices as far as the passion, it was the same thing when it came to doing it when it came to special education students, because the one thing you definitely have to pick is something to where you're passionate. Like you have to be passionate about whatever you're discussing, because ultimately people have to believe what you're saying and believe that it resonates with them at that point. So that's one of the things that that you kind of want to do. So I
Yeah, so
did
how do
that.
you like open that door? Like how do you, I think that would be the big question is how do you open the door to do so, to
So
get
doing
into
the
a company?
PDs in that way, that would I
Well, like
just
to get into a company.
so to get into a company, you have to have profile that you are capable of doing this type of work.
Mm-hmm.
So what they need to be able to do is see something. So they may need to see a video, Or what you may do is you may need to go and do some workshops or do some presentations at conferences doing breakout sessions where
Okay,
they
that
don't
was
pay,
actually one of my
yeah.
questions
Yeah,
is
they won't pay you, but what you get is
right.
free admission or free registration for the breakout for the actual conference. All right, so let me tell you what I ended up doing to actually that really this actually led me to become a principal as well as put my name out there when it came to like to be even be thought of as potentially a consultant. So when we were implementing restorative practices, I was documenting a lot of the things that we were doing. So like
Hmm.
when people come to our workshop, the videos, that was all a part of that. It wasn't intended to be for consulting, but it was something that I was just focused on doing at that particular time. For this particular presentation. So what I did was there was a conference coming to Dallas that I wanted to go to, and I wanted to have a breakout session there. And so what I did was I submitted a proposal to do the breakout session, got approved and everything, so I'm able to go and everything. And district doesn't care because it's in the same city, so they're going to, as long as I'm able to pay my own way, they definitely could care less at that point.
Right.
So I was able to cover all those things, and so when I did the session, and this is before I started doing videos on LinkedIn. One thing I started doing was I started reaching out to different educators on LinkedIn that I kind of just blindly would like, hey, you're going to be at this particular work. Are you going to go to this particular conference? Are you coming to this conference? And just starting a chat, had a
Hmm.
copy and paste email, but I would always change their name and just to make sure it was personal. And they were like, yeah, I'm gonna be there and everything. I'm going, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna be there too. And guess what? And not guess what, but yeah, I have this breakout session I'm gonna be doing on this particular. I would love for you if you were to come and join and support and see what I'm doing. Well, I did this with hundreds of people. Some were coming. So it's time for my breakout session. And so I go, so I'm going to, there's a line out my door. Like I'm talking about like, there were people that couldn't get in. It was standing room only in the room. It was probably breaking fire code because I had promoted this at this particular point, right? And so like my executive director from my district was there as far because he was there for the conference as well. And so we're sitting there like, and he was like looking around like, really, like all these people are here. He didn't know I did what I had done the email. I didn't think they were really going to show up like that. I was like, I can get at
Right.
least. I didn't want to be in like a room training to three people, so I wanted to have like,
It's like a high school party, like, hey, my parents are away, come on
right,
over.
right.
And
So
they all showed up.
yeah, they all came, right?
That's
And so
crazy.
like, so I get up there and I deliver. And I remember at the end, the person, so they had a person like working the room, right? And one thing that I wasn't like, this was something I was definitely guilty of then, kind of still guilty of it now. I really don't like feedback, like good or bad. Like I kind of want it organically. I don't really want it like I don't like written feedback like that because I feel like I don't know. I don't want to see it good or bad. I know that I have to transition out of that piece and I've worked hard to transition out of that, but I'm just not really a person that I like to just hear from people. I'm a more connect. Like even when I was back on my campus, if someone sent me an email, this is back when I was a teacher. If someone sent me an email, I'm not responding to the email. I'm gonna come down to the classroom and talk to you, or come to the office and talk to you because I'm just more of a connection type of person
Right.
naturally. So I really didn't like. So what they wanted you to do was put the QR code for your session at the end so people could do the evaluation. The person that was working the room saw I didn't have it up, and they're like, this is the best session I've ever seen. I'm like, I'm thinking they're just gassing me up, right? And all those different things. And so they were like, no, like I've been like telling people like as they go, leave out, hey, you gotta do they do this evaluation. So she's like giving the people individually the links because she's like, people need to know about this. And so it then became a buzz around the conference of how good the session was at that point. And then some of the people that were there were from the district where I ended up becoming a principal and different things. And so it really helped catapult my career. So it allowed me to go from being a 1 year AP to now being a principal. And so it gave me that opportunity to do that by going there. Well, also what it did was it documented and solidified my ability to present on this particular topic. So yeah, I had an hour and a half maybe or hour to be able to do this particular presentation. Now I just got to be able to build out from it, and I was able to go and take what they did and just take some of my pieces that were the personal pieces and do it and build it from there. And so then when it came down to going and doing my own thing, I already had a foundational training that I just had to
Mhm.
build out from an hour to hour and a half to now be a 6 hour presentation to where now I'm going about doing that. Now, the reason why I ended up doing alternatives to suspension is because so I had got those contracts from those different districts in March of that year, and then another guy, I think it was around April of that year, he reached out to me from Atlanta, and he was like, I forgot. I think he was a teacher. I'm not sure what his role was, but he reached out and was like, "Hey, my principal is. I'm coming to Atlanta because I'm coming to Dallas because my son is going to a summer camp at a college in the Dallas area, and I'm gonna be there for a week. And my principal's willing to pay you to teach me everything you know about restorative practices." And I'm like, "No, that's y'all don't have enough money for that. I can't sit down with any person for that long because it would cost a lot of money. Not even because my information I thought was worth that much. My time was worth that to be able to sit down with a complete stranger, and all that. There's just no price tag I can put on my time in that regard. And so I said, "What do you want to know? Give me something you want to focus on." He was like, "Alternative to suspension." Perfect. I created a training, built it out, focusing on alternatives to suspension. So he is the reason for why the alternatives to suspension training that I use to this day even came about, because I did the training literally for him. But then what I did was I opened it up to all the people that were on LinkedIn, because I had connected with all these people on LinkedIn at this point. They're seeing my videos and all that. So I started promoting it on LinkedIn, and I had 3 people show up to that training. So there was a teacher, he showed up, and then there was a person that was a I think a special education director or coordinator from a district in the southern part of Dallas. Well, I ended up breaking even for that training. So literally, like, the money I made literally barely paid for the meeting space that I got at the it was a Courtyard Marriott meeting space. It only cost $300. Very small room, but it paid for their everything paid for was literally, it broke completely even. Well, here's where I want to say 2 years later, I think it was in 2019, the person that came, that was a special education person from the district, the southern district, and in the Dallas Fort Worth area, they talked to somebody, and they end up reaching out to me, and
Mhm.
they bring me in to do a full day training. So that training right there led to that workshop that broke even, now led to an actual decent payday at that point. So it's just kind of like those are the type of things that you got to put yourself out there in those ways. So if you can put yourself out there to where you can at least get some interest from people, and then so you can do that independently. But the easiest way to do it is to be able to really go through workshops to try to be able to, or not workshops, I'm sorry, go through conferences,
Right.
because it's already built in. People are already going to be coming, and then you just have to get those people to come. So I would literally go to a conference,
Mhm.
and I would probably, if I have a breakout session, I would have like business cards printed out that are just literally explaining what my session is and just inviting everybody to come to my
Mhm.
session.